Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Look, man, BYU, Jake Retzlaff, he's transferring, going to Tulane. We've had some thoughts on this entire situation a couple weeks back. But I guess now that it's come to a head and, some closure, I give you my thoughts on it a little bit more today. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for always giving us your support. Before we get started, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So Retzlaff transfers to Tulane. And, let's cover some bases here first. The first thing is, I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. I think it was, I think he bailed out on BYU. I think he did BYU wrong. There was a couple people that got in the comments and said they don't blame Jake for transferring, and a couple other people said this was the best thing for both sides. I don't believe that. I don't think it was the best thing for both sides, and here's the reason why. Number one, there's zero chance that you're going to convince me this was the best thing for BYU. Zero chance. He was the starting quarterback, a team that won 11 football games last year. You're trying to tell me that was the best thing for them? Now, I know some people are going to say, well, he struggled down the stretch and, he wasn't that talented and, we can replace him. First of all, you're just trying to talk yourself into something that isn't necessarily true. I'm not even saying that BYU can't get good quarterback play this year. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying that somebody isn't even as talented or more talented than him. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is this was the unquestioned starting quarterback of your football team. There was no, hey, if Jake plays bad, we're going to bring somebody else in, or there wasn't a quarterback competition. No. He was one of the leaders of your football team, and he was the unquestioned starter. Not like the year before when he had to beat out Bohannon to get the starting job. None of that was going on here. None of it. So that is a bad thing for BYU to lose your starting quarterback in July, by the way. Now, granted, I'm sure BYU, they had their meetings. They did their due diligence, their investigations. I'm sure that they knew this outcome was happening before July. Let's not kid ourselves. They knew that what was going on. They've probably known for a while. Having said all that, I'm not letting Mr. Retzlaff off the hook. I'm never going to. I said he created this mess. He needed to live in it. We get so mad, and not me personally, but people in general get so mad at players for transferring. They call them everything but their government name. Just uncommitted, selfish, everything that you can think of, they're calling these kids when they decide to transfer. And that's when a lot of times they just want to be in a better situation for themselves, or at least a perceived better situation for themselves, whether it's playing time, money, commitment, whatever it might be. The kids get slandered all the time. We know it. Let's not kid ourselves. It 100% happens. Here's a situation where the kid actually creates the situation. Now, I said it before, and I'll say this again, is that I'm not a lawyer, but I will say this. The case was dismissed. So to me, I think the whole thing got made up. You may say, Big B, you don't know. That's fine. But I think the thing got made up, which is unfair to Jake in itself. Absolutely unfair. But he did break the honor code. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Some will argue honor code shouldn't be a part of anything. That's not my place to say. BYU makes its own rules for who they want and what rules that they want at their university. That's not for me, and really not for anybody else to come up with unless you're in charge of the university. So those are the rules that they want. Abide by them or don't go. It's kind of that simple. He chose to break it. Now, does he deserve anybody to make up some false accusation against him? Absolutely not. And I'll go as far as to say this. I think people that do that should get a stiff penalty, because it doesn't just hurt the young man that you made these false accusations against, because it does. Clearly it does. But it also hurts people that the victims of these real crimes, because one, people don't believe them. Two, it's harder for them to come forward because they don't think people are going to believe them. So, but that's a different conversation for a different day. I don't really want to get into that. I'm just getting into, is this a good thing for both sides? And it's not. It's not. BYU is going to be hurt by this. I understand, as BYU fans, you're going to try to talk yourself into existence of, well, we can get better quarterback play. And maybe you can. And hopefully you do. That part I'm actually rooting for. But to kid yourself into thinking that, well, he wasn't that, hey, he was going to be your starting quarterback, man. That was happening. And when your starting quarterback leaves the program in July, that's a problem. Period. End of story. Now shifting it to him, telling me that doesn't hurt him. First off, he's going to Tulane. And this is not a shot at Tulane, but Tulane's not BYU. I mean, who are we kidding ourselves? Tulane, first of all, it's a group of 5. And it's not BYU, man. It's not. Now, I'm assuming that he did his due diligence, and I'm sure Tulane did as well. And maybe he searched around for a school this late, because that's another thing. Trying to go to a school at the end of July to try to be the starter? Yikes. Not saying it's impossible, and we'll talk about that here in just a quick second. But leaving in the end of July, that's a nightmare. But I'm sure he did his due diligence, and maybe he's found an offense where the verbiage, and the offense itself is similar to what he's running at BYU, so there won't be this huge learning curve. Now, I could be totally wrong, could be totally different, but who knows? I'll be honest, I'm not going to dig too deep into that to figure that out, and quite frankly, I really don't care. My thing about it is that it's a downgrade for him. So I'm not saying there's not an upside, because, yeah, he gets to play football. He was going to be suspended for 7 games. I said it myself. I thought he should have just stayed, dealt with the consequences, and went and played football when it was time. Now, you could say, well, if BYU gets the thing rolling, they're not going to hand the job back to him. You know what? There's consequences in life, man. Good and bad. And you made a choice. I'm not saying it was an illegal choice, but you did make a choice to do something knowing that it was against the rules, that this could happen. You chose to do it. It is what it is, man. And I just think he should have stayed. I'm not going to back off of it. I've said it multiple times. I'll say it again. And if you want to keep asking me about it, I'll say the same thing every time. You should have stayed. You created the mess. Deal with the consequences. Isn't that what college is about? Growing up, learning to live on your own, dealing with things, life lessons. That's college. This is a big ass life lesson. Now, again, the story and the part about, him being falsely accused of something, that's not a life lesson, because G-Many Christmas. I mean, you can't help that. I mean, that's not his fault. That's not the lesson that I'm talking about. So any troll that comes in the comments that tries to say that's what I'm talking about, I'll say it. I'm not. What I'm talking about is, you knew the rules, you broke them because they were going to suspend you. And I get it. He doesn't have time. He can't transfer, or he has no more eligibility left, I should say. Doesn't have any. But that's kind of the mess you made. And that was more important. And you got caught. Just simple as that. You got caught. And I get it. Lots of people in college. Look, I'm not the moral police, but you went to a school that kind of has a moral police code in it, and you chose to break it, and now you're leaving. Now, I know his teammates are, hey, good luck, but you're never going to. First of all, I've been in a locker room. A lot of people have been in locker rooms. It's hard to get 10 people to agree. You think in a locker room of 105 people, you don't think that there's half those guys are like, man, that dude screwed us. Yeah, they feel that way. They may not come out and say it, but they feel that way. So maybe from that aspect, maybe it is a good thing that he's leaving, because half the locker room is like, we support you, Jake. The other half is like, this dude screwed us. I don't know. I just know it's not a win-win for everybody like some people have tried to make it out to be. It isn't. BYU's not winning at all. They're not winning at all. And Jake Retzlaff isn't winning at all. Because, again, no shot at Tulane. It's not BYU. It's just not, ladies and gentlemen. And by trying to make it BYU, it's ridiculous. It's not. The group of five versus BYU and playing in the Big 12 conference. It's not the same. It's just not the same. Now, is he going to get an opportunity to play? It looks like it, because, hell, Tulane didn't even have a quarterback on their roster that had been there past January. So all the quarterbacks on their roster have been there for 7 months now. That's it. Which is, I mean, it's not really wild in today's day and age of college football, NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff. So it's not really wild to think about that. But so he's got an opportunity to start. But Lord, into July, that's tough. That's tough. And I would be willing to say, if he is as talented as what we think, or he thinks, he should be able to go win the job. So maybe that's the only upside to him, that he can have an opportunity to play. We'll see. But I still believe, like I said, I know this is piggybacking off of what I talked about before, but that's okay. Story changed. He moved on. I still don't like it for BYU. I know there's people out there that say, oh, Brien, you're just kissing the ass of BYU fans. Can we just be honest on the internet without you having to be accused of kissing somebody's ass? Like, can people just tell the truth on what they feel based on the facts that we all know? And can people just tell the truth? I haven't been a BYU fan a day in my life. Not one day. I don't root against them, but I'm not a BYU fan. But I'll take up for them when the time comes. And I'll also bash them when the time comes. I tell the truth. And just like when they were, I'm not even going to get into it, when some bad stuff was happening to BYU during basketball season, I called it out. Just like if it was anybody else, I would call it out. Well, dag on it, I just don't believe that this was the right move. And I understand there's people out there that think, you know, he's a good kid. And I'm not saying he's a bad kid. I've never said he was a bad kid. Bad decision, but not bad kid, you know. And again, college is about learning, growing, dealing with consequences. And sometimes you got to lie in your own bed. This time he didn't. Hopefully he learns from it, you know, and hopefully he moves on it and he's able to start, play well at Tulane. I'd still just feel bad for BYU. Because I don't see how BYU, because everybody knows they have an honor code. Everybody knows what the situation is going to that university. So they're not getting out of this. It's not like they're being scathed by this by any means. Like, none of that is on BYU. So I don't look at this, oh, man, BYU really dropped the ball here. No, they didn't. They didn't do anything. They literally didn't do anything, at least from my understanding. Now, if somebody wants to say what BYU did, okay, great. Get in the comments. Let us know, or let me know. But I don't think they did anything, and they're just getting a raw deal. They're losing their starting quarterback in July. And if you want to take it back, well, they lost him in May. Okay, great. They lost him in May. That's late enough. Fine. I don't like the situation, but I do hope it turns out for the best. Because I want BYU to have a good season, just like I want every Big 12 team to have a good season. And I want him to move on and have a good season as well. And hopefully all that works out. I don't like the way that it went down. I said it before and I'll say it again. Thought he should stay and lie in his own bed, even if it meant he had to sit on the bench at BYU. Okay, you created the mess. You created this. So sometimes you got to lie in your own mess, people. That's all I'm saying. Appreciate everybody, man. Thank you guys for being here. Football season is around the corner. Lord, it cannot get here fast enough. So thank you guys again. As always, remember to like, follow, subscribe. Continue to get in that comment section. Let me know exactly what you think. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.